Welcome to part 2 of building a replacement fence for a Dewalt 744 table saw. My fence got misplaced, and so I am going to have to build a new one. Last time I came up with a basic design and glued the pieces together. It's been sitting overnight, and now we're going to inspect what we did and go forward. We glued the rear on, and that should give us a nice sturdy platform to use the front for clamping. It's not going to win any workmanship awards, but it should be sturdy. Here's the front piece, and it's got a hole where it'll register on the stud that is included in the table saw. Now we just need to come up with a way to clamp it. The fence is a little long, so we're going to shave it down, but first we put on our safety gear, earplugs, and a dust mask. Set the blade height appropriately, and cut. Since I'm eyeballing this, I'm going to go for a few small shaves and then check it and see if my cuts were enough or if we need to come back and do some more. Wait for the blade to stop. And let's see if that was good. If I need a little more slack, I can always come back and tighten it up, but I think this will be fine. Next, we get out the hardware I'm going to use. I'm going to have a bolt and a captive nut to screw into. I'm going to test the size that I need for the captive nut by just putting it into the drill bit holder. After getting the right size bit, I'm going to go ahead and use a piece of scrap wood to just test it out and see how it all fits together. I don't want to mess up the large fence that I've already cut. And I actually learned something valuable from going through this process. So we pound the nut in with another piece of scrap, drill a hole, screw it all together, and it looks pretty good, but the nut sticks out a little bit. It's not flush, so we need to fix that. But we can do that on the actual fence itself. So we're going to clamp it to the side of the workbench. It's too tall for the drill press that I have, which is also in a box. So we're going to mark off the spot for the hole and hope that I can hold the drill vertical enough to get a good straight hole in there for that bolt. For good or for ill, though, this was never a precision project from the start. We start off with a smaller drill bit for the bolt. And then a slightly larger bit for the captive nut. And to keep it flush so that it fits well, we're going to use a Forstner bit. This is where the drill press would have been really helpful because this bit just walks all over the place. Not pretty, but since it's only a small amount of depth I need, I'm just going to go for it. And good enough. That sits nice and flush. Should solve our problem. Now we need to figure out how we're going to get the hole in the right spot on the end piece. So I thought I'd take a pencil, well, the tip of one anyway, insert joke here, and put it into the captive nut. It's a little too large, so we're going to just file it down and mark the spot. Not pretty, but it should be good enough. There's a theme running through this build. Hopefully it won't come back to bite me too badly. Now I need to do something about this lip here. Very carefully mark it off. Precision marking at its finest. Now I want to take all that wood out, and I think the fastest way is to use the table saw. Since I don't have a fence, I'm going to have to jerry-rig this cut a little bit. I don't recommend working this way, but you do what you have to. It's a little ugly. I started off with a file, but then I remembered that I have a table saw. Much nicer. For some reason at this point, I thought that it would make sense to add a second captive nut to the end piece, but that turned out to be a big mistake. So I drilled a hole, pounded one in, and at this point I realized that this might actually prevent me from tightening it. But let's go ahead and test it to see. It registers on the back pin just fine. We register the front on the front pin and tighten it up. But because there's threads on both, it won't actually pull on the fence and won't get tight. And that's no good for anybody. That definitely won't work. At least this mistake didn't cost me any pieces of the work. I could just yank that nut out and go ahead and use the bolt with a washer. Start off and hand tighten it. And this time it's actually tightening up. So I'll pull out the wrench. Eventually I'll put a better end on that bolt so that I don't have to get the wrench out every time I want to set my fence. It's still a little wobbly, so I'm going to put some spacers back in underneath the fence. I don't know why I thought I should have the fence up off the table, but the spacer seems to fix the problem. It's a lot sturdier. So it's time for a test cut. We set it to 1 inch, and then I'm just going to go ahead and check both the front and the back of the blade. Still a little wobble, but we'll give it another little tighten. And we plug in the table saw. I usually keep it unplugged when I'm working around here, just so that I don't trip over the cord in a small space. And here we go. Well, it did make a cut. There was still a bit of wobble as I was pushing the piece through. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those spacers onto the bottom, adding a few extra as I go, and that should give me some more stability. And if not, we'll try something else next time. But since I have to wait for this glue to set, that's it for today. Please let me know how you would have done this differently, or if you have any ideas on how I can improve the stability of this fence. And if you like this project, please consider subscribing for more videos like this and other things that I'm working on. Thanks, and bye.